welcome to Cheeky Richo Cooking's apple and walnut cake cooked in the Kmart family pie maker. This recipe comes as a request from Maureen. I hope you like our recipe, Maureen. The ingredients are in the recipe box below. It's very, very simple, so let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is just peel one Granny Smith apple and we're going to grate it. Don't core it at this stage because you can use the core actually as a handle while you're using your grater. If you're using a mandolin, same thing, just use it as a handle and you can go from side to side. We just washed our apple. And we're just going to grate it on the coarse function very, very quickly. You don't need to do this in the food processor. The reason I'm not cutting it up is because I don't believe that it will cook enough in the cooking time to give you a satisfactory result. This will distribute it more evenly throughout and it won't make it too wet as well. Now this is going to be like a layered cake. You can do it in the smaller muffin pans and you will have to use the little cross baking paper method that I've shown you in other videos. Okay, don't grate any of the core or the seeds or the skin into that. Okay. One apple's plenty, it's not a particularly big cake. Alrighty, that's what you should have. Now to that we are going to add our mixed spice and our brown sugar. And mix that all around. The brown sugar will draw the moisture out of the apple and give you a more accurate batter mix to know how much milk to put in. If you've got a particularly juicy apple or a large apple, or maybe you're using two smaller ones, this will determine how much milk you're going to need, because you can see it's getting really quite juicy there. Okay, now we've got our walnuts here. We're just putting some maple syrup onto that because walnuts and maple syrup, or pecans and maple syrup, are really delicious, and that's all we're really going to do with that. It's sweet, it's sort of smoky a little bit, and it's got a lovely flavour. I'll just chop those walnuts really quite roughly. Okay, don't use walnut meal, or if you do it's going to just look like paste in the middle, but this will give it a little bit of texture, which is always nice. And you can see how much juice is coming out of our apples now. See that? Alrighty, so it's in with our egg, in with our melted butter. We're just going to mix this all around until it's well and truly combined. See, the apples have already started to dissolve that sugar. And Granny Smith apples have quite a tart flavour. If you're using a sweeter apple, you might want to cut back the brown sugar content. Now, this is our little Kmart family pie maker. Now what I'm going to do is line it with baking paper. Now this is just plain baking paper. This is a little tool that they give you to push your pastry in and whatever. Turn it upside down. And then if you push that in like so, and then pull it out again, it's going to come out. Okay, it's not going to hold in there. But if you screw it all up and sort of, I call it breaking the back of the paper, and then put your little tool in, it will actually hold the memory of that shape. See, much better. Okay, that's that done. Alrighty, now this is really quite sloppy now, as you can see. It's in with our self-raising flour all at once. Don't overmix this, you don't want to toughen your little cake. And we're going to add enough milk to make a nice batter. We're going to put half of it into our pie maker, sprinkle it with our maple walnuts, and then put the remaining half in. Now you can see this is getting a little bit thick, so send in a bit of our milk here. You could of course cook this in the oven about 180 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes. Okay, that's well and truly mixed in now. Just a little dribble more milk. So you look at about 30 grams of milk for this particular batter, or an ounce. Alrighty. Now, half into our cold pie maker. Spread it right out. The weight of the batter will push out to the corners. Sprinkle on our walnuts now with our maple syrup. Now the maple syrup is sweet, so that's why I haven't put any sugar in the center of it, but that will be absorbed by the cake batter as the top coating goes on. If you're cooking this in the oven, not a pie oven, you could of course just sprinkle some of these on the top and it'll give it a really gorgeous topping. And then we just complete the assembly by layering. You don't have to stir this through or anything, just layer our topping along the top. Now we're going to bake this for about 8 or so minutes until the skewer inserted in the center comes out clean. Now the danger with that of course is that you might actually pick up some of the maple syrup and give you a bit of a false positive. Just be mindful of that. And the reason that I put the baking paper in so that it doesn't separate when you're trying to remove it from the pie maker. Now I'm just going to brush the lid of the pie maker with a little melted butter and of course turn it on so it doesn't stick as it rises. And I'm not going to close the clasp down because that will inhibit the rising and make it really quite dense. So when you're happy with all of that, paper's not fouling anything, and close the lid. Okay, after 7.5 minutes, it's rising on one side more than the other. The paper will allow you to turn it around. The reason that it's doing that is the weight of the oven lid is holding one end down. So this will allow this to rise a little bit and perhaps compress that a little bit. So we've got to leave this for another couple of minutes yet. Okay, we'll turn it around. It's even up a little bit. We're just going to poke a skewer in, and if the skewer comes out clean, which it has, the cake is cooked. Just close the lid and turn it off while you make your cup of tea, and any residual heat in there will just make sure it's absolutely cooked all the way through. Okay, now we've just picked it up out of our pie maker and taken it over to a cooling board. I'm going to cut this while it's still nice and warm. You can ice it if you like, but you don't really need to, but I want to show you what it looks like inside. We're just having it with a cup of tea, and that is what it looks like. You can you can see the layer of walnuts through there that have given it a nice maple syrup flavour. It's beautifully cooked. It's a bit brown on the top. You might want to just take that out a little quicker than I did, but I've been making tea and whatnot. But it's got a nice flavour. Have it with butter if you like. Drizzle it with some cinnamon glaze if you want to. But that's it. Hope you enjoyed our little recipe, Maureen, and you get a chance to try it. Thanks for watching. You know what, I am going to put a little bit of icing on that. I've just got some icing sugar there, just 2 tablespoons, to which I'm going to add a good sprinkle of cinnamon, and just mix that with just enough milk to make a slightly runny glaze, and then we're just going to drizzle over it. It's going to run off the sides, but it's going to be really sticky and not too sweet, as much as like a frosting would be. Just a couple of drops. We want quite a runny glazed drizzle. A drizzle, that's what we're going to call it, a drizzle. As soon as it hits the hot cake, it's going to do that anyway. Okay, so we just drizzle backwards and forwards. Runs over the side. Don't get too excited about that. And it'll dribble down the side. You're ready. Richard's just going to take that to our elderly neighbour who's in isolation at the moment. So she's got some nice morning tea to eat. Thanks for watching. Look at that. Have a bite of that. Yep, the glaze makes it just a little bit special. Nice and moist, nice spice, and good apple flavour. Thanks for watching.